Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Tonight, it's all about the animals in BC. Marine mammals in our coastal waters are flourishing with one glaring exception, the southern resident killer whales. Why aren't the orcas all right? Plus, prolific gardener Tamara Taggart has simple fall tips to help bees and butterflies. And the best part? It takes almost no effort. But first, the ostriches. The Universal Ostrich Farm in Edgewood, BC, kept over 300 ostriches in open-air pens, often visited by ducks and other waterfowl. In December 2024, a highly pathogenic avian influenza was confirmed on the farm. By January 2025, about 15% of the birds had died. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency then ordered the entire flock to be culled to protect animal health, Canada's poultry industry, and meet international obligations around avian flu control. A federal court judge upheld the CFIA's decision, and on November 6th, the Supreme Court of Canada declined to hear the farm's appeal. All 314 ostriches were subsequently euthanized by professional marksmen. Which raises the question, can the government really just kill your animals? Here to explain, my counterpart on the Soapbox Social panel on CBC Radio's On the Coast with Gloria Makarenko. She represents Acumen Law. You didn't know that she knew bird law, but she does. She is Kyla Lee, and this is Kyla's Court. So Kyla, can the government just kill your animals at will? Is this what we've come to in this country?
I mean, yes and no. The government can kill your animals. They do have the right to do that in certain circumstances. So it's not just random government animal killings. There has to be a legitimate, lawful basis.
And so give me examples of the circumstances.
Well, I mean, the ostrich case is a great example where there is a public safety risk that's posed by the animals, where a veterinarian says it's appropriate and necessary to kill these animals, and where there's a concern about a spread of disease from the animals. At that point, the government is effectively obligated to step in to protect the spread of disease.
What is the legal threshold that has to be met? Because I feel like anyone could be like, this is a public safety risk, but are there specific criteria that need to be met first?
Yes, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has to adhere to guidelines, which mirror what we have in the World Animal Health Organization guidelines as well, before they step in and essentially what's known as stamp out a herd or a flock. And so the guidelines that have to be met are that there has to be an actual risk, there has to be a confirmed case among the flock or among the herd that is communicable or spreadable, and again, there must be veterinarian approval for the culling of the herd before that can actually happen.
For anyone who owns animals that will then be euthanized by the government, are they provided any compensation?
The government works with farmers to try and make it happen efficiently, but there's no official, you get X number of dollars per animal or anything like that.
So basically, if the government says that they want to kill your animal, you're not going to be compensated and there's not a ton you can do, is what I'm hearing.
All you can do is apply for judicial review, which in the ostrich case, the ostrich farmer did. And if the order to cull or stamp out the herd is not reasonable, then that can be stopped. So there are mechanisms in place, but you have very limited options because it is a public safety issue at the end of the day.
In this case, why did the Supreme Court decide that they were not going to hear the appeal from the farm owners? Because obviously there was a lot of public attention, there was a lot of controversy around this. What was their reasoning for saying that no, we're not going to hear the appeal?
The Supreme Court of Canada doesn't give reasons when it refuses to hear an appeal, but they apply a legal test. Is it an issue of national importance? Is it a legal issue that requires some sort of intervention by the court? So because there's no real novel legal issue that would affect the country as a whole, this was about some ostriches on a farm in BC, it's not really the Supreme Court of Canada's business.
Are you telling me that the intervention from RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz did not make this of an international importance, that maybe the court should have been seeing this case?
The Supreme Court of Canada doesn't consider social or societal importance. It considers legal importance.
Okay, interesting. Now, I have a question around animal cruelty because they did hire these professional snipers, marksmen, to basically kill all these ostriches, which seems really cruel because you're going to have some ostriches that are watching this happen and they're going to be terrified, right? Like it just seems like a cruel way to euthanize all these birds.
It could be considered that way. As I understand, the CFIA did consult with veterinarians to try to find the way that would be least traumatic for the birds and for the farmers and for everybody involved. And this was what was recommended by the veterinarian. You also have to remember that they have to do this in a way that manages the risk of a spreadable, communicable disease. And so going in and individually taking each bird and, quietly euthanizing it created a bigger risk of spread than sharpshooting.
Ultimately, though, bottom line, whether I have ostriches or I have a pet at home, if they are sick with some communicable disease, you're saying that they're not safe from the government if the government determines that they could spread that disease.
If an animal is determined to be a safety risk, it's not just disease that can allow the government to kill it. The government has a lot of power to take care of your animals for you if you're not willing to do it yourself. It's very unfortunate, but it's true.
Explain to me how this isn't tyranny.
Because there is still a legal test that must be met. There are still avenues of appeal, and people have the opportunity to seek redress from the courts. It's not tyranny just because we don't like the outcome.
Well, Kyla, I appreciate your balanced legal advice here and legal analysis. So thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, representing Acumen Law, that was cool Kyla Lee. Now, after some business, most of BC's marine mammals are flourishing. So why aren't orcas? We'll talk about it up next.